All right. I am excited for the first interview series of our Forget Perfect Leadership newsletter. I have Rebecca Mark with me. Rebecca, I'm excited to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you, Vitale. I'm excited to be here and uh, share the experience that we've had and then just talk a little bit about leadership from my perspective. So thanks for having me.
Yeah. And for everyone here, Rebecca Mark is the head of lending support for a financial institution here in Kentucky. And so let's start off with you telling me a little bit about yourself and your leadership journey, Rebecca.
Sure. So I would say I've been in various leadership roles probably since high school. And so I've increasingly taken on different responsibilities and um, I'm a high achiever. And so through just performance and different opportunities, really had an exciting opportunity to move into leadership in the organization that I'm in. I had led in previous organizations and had some mixed experiences. And so I'm excited to be where I am and the journey that I've been a part of. Today, I've had the opportunity to lead individuals. I've had the opportunity to lead leaders. And it's exciting to continue to learn and grow through the experience. There are different challenges at every level of leadership. And so for me, it's exciting. I have a passion for people and a passion for the work that we do. So that just, I guess, drives me and the work that I get to do with my team. So it's exciting.
Yeah. One, it's been fun to get to know you over the year and work alongside you. And I've always really appreciate your intentionality and thoughtfulness, and also your ability to see the best in others. So I appreciate those are just some of the things that I really appreciate about you and your leadership style. So as we talk about leadership, what does the term leadership mean to you?
Well, I would say for me, it's kind of changed over the years. So leadership to me is creating an environment where other people can thrive. That really is at the core of it. And for me, that kind of was just born from experiences being a part of other people's teams and just kind of hating life. And
Right.
so, just, thinking like, one day if I have an opportunity to lead, I really, everyone just wants to show up and do their very best. And so, how can I create an environment where people feel confident that they can do that? And so for me, that is leadership, is just creating those environments where people can just show up and confidently, do their best and enjoy what they're doing. We spend a lot of time working, and so I think it's okay to enjoy what we do every day. So to me, that is leadership. I mean, I think there are lots of fantastic definitions and sure tons of books on leadership, but for me, it's really that simple.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the idea of, again, the importance of, the environment you create, the ecosystem that you create where people can thrive. And, we've talked a lot about psychological safety and the things that you've done to create, that psychologically safe space for your team. So as we talk about kind of the leadership environment and ecosystem, what core values have guided your leadership decisions? How have they influenced the choices you've made?
So for me, I would say, well, respect, honesty, and integrity,
Okay.
and then for me, continuous improvement and knowledge sharing. So I don't have all the answers. I frequently have a lot of questions,
Yeah.
and appreciate just the opportunity to collaborate with the folks that are around me, and then share what I do know. So um, I, I've worked in places before where just more cutthroat environments and things like that. And I just didn't feel like you can really thrive in that environment. And
Yep.
so for me, it's and if you talk to the folks that are part of my team, collaboration is extremely important in how we share information with one another. Because I do truly believe that we are all better together than we are individually. And then treating each other with respect is just huge. That's probably a lesson I learned early on.
Okay.
Respect is earned. And so for me, I just try to treat people with the respect that I hope to receive. So,
Awesome. I love those things and that they're guiding your decisions. Um, what do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions about leadership and being a leader?
I would say probably the biggest misconception for me, and probably a misconception that I had when I was much younger, is that leadership is a powerful position, or a position of great
Yeah.
authority. And what I've come to find is, leadership really is all about empowering other people and taking responsibility for all the things that get done. So it's almost inside out of what I might have imagined it to be when I was much younger. And so I think that's probably the biggest misconception. It's funny. I think sometimes if you're a leader who's only in a position of power, I would be curious the number of people who are actually following you. So,
Right. Yeah. And you were saying it's more inside out versus outside in. And I think again, another thing that I appreciate about you is I feel like your openness to always internally reflect. Look internally at like what can you do better, what can I do better, and so I appreciate that about you too, because I think that is one of the most important traits of a leader, is your ability to continuously commit to your own growth, and look at your own shortcomings, right? Because we're all a work in progress.
yep, we
Um,
are.
yes. So along those same lines, how do you incorporate both ambition and humility into your leadership style?
So like I mentioned earlier, I am an achiever. I
Right.
want to accomplish the next thing. And, for me, I've got a lot of ideas, and for sure, just, vision for where we can go. And,
Right.
and I'm excited about where we can go for the future. So I have a lot of vision, a lot of
Yeah.
passion. I think that drives that ambition that I have to, accomplish things and succeed. So it's exciting. And I'd say I remain humble because I surround myself with the most excellent and intelligent people. And so, I know that whatever idea I might have, all I need to do is just like kind of drop it in amongst these people, and they'll just make it so much better. And so, and it's just a reminder. I can't do all of the things that we do by myself. I might have an idea, but it's really the group of people around me that make it happen. And so, I think that's, it's humbling. It's humbling when you realize, okay, this is really not all about me.
Yeah.
Just one trying to navigate and get us all to a better place. So,
Right. And I think we've had a lot of, um, conversations recently too about the importance of, like, as we talk about ambition and humility, I think too is normalizing failure, normalizing mistakes. And so we've had a lot of conversation about that recently. So would you mind sharing a time when you faced failure or a setback and how you handled it?
yeah, yeah. So I'm going to go way back.
Okay.
I was in really kind of an early leadership position, and oh my goodness, it was a disaster. What I found I was doing was I was mirroring the leadership that I had seen,
Yeah.
and just showed up in a way that was so inauthentic and really just wrong that it affected the people that I was working with. And I remember just one day it just kind of, there was a situation that kind of blew up, and I just handled it terribly. And I just remember thinking, this is not me. This is not me. This is not how I want to lead. This isn't who I want to be. And so for me, working through that situation and then realizing through that people have different leadership styles, and I can be authentic to myself
Mm-hmm.
and show up in a way that I feel is more aligned with my values. It kind of gave me an opportunity to think about, well, what is it that I value, and it just kind of set me on a course to be a better leader.
Yeah.
um, uh, but yeah, but that there's just one particular day that just kind of stays with me.
Yeah.
It's a constant reminder of like, hey, you can be better. You can be better. And so, that's one thing from a leadership perspective. I've also had setbacks. So, positions that I'd hoped to achieve, or leadership positions that I
Yeah.
wanted and didn't get. And from those experiences, I've learned, it's okay to be disappointed for a moment, but then you have to get on with it.
Right.
And there's going to always be something down the road that experience is more than likely preparing you for.
Right.
And so, I've learned from those experiences too. And I would say, the first time or two that you have those setbacks, they're so much harder. But then as you have a chance to have some perspective and look at what they help you get to, I'm never a fan of setbacks,
Yeah.
but I also know that when I'm faced with them, there's probably an opportunity for me to grow. And yeah.
Yeah. And that reminds me of a quote that I really like, and it's the obstacle is the way.
Yeah.
That there's something to learn, something to be taught, in that obstacle, that setback, that mistake that we've made. It's just an opportunity to learn, a redirection, that sort of thing too. I feel like we're in this time right now where so much is going on. There are so many demands of us, and time is truly moving. I feel like a million miles an hour. And it's not because I'm in my 40s. I feel like it's just where we are in the world. And so, how do you manage, your stress and also maintain your well-being?
Um, so I'll say it's a constant work in progress.
Right.
I have not I've not perfected that, if you will. But what I have done over the years is that I've learned that for me, I have to be intentional with my time. There was a time in my life where it didn't matter where I was always guilty. And you can
Yeah.
probably relate to, if I was at work, I was guilty about home, and at home, I was guilty about work. And so that I've learned, I just like let that guilt go, just set it all down. But I try to be intentional. So if I'm working, I'm focused on what I'm doing. And for me, that helps just create balance, some peace between the different things that I'm living. I'm living my life at home and I'm living my life at
Right.
work, and things collide because I'm passionate about my family and I'm passionate about the work that I do. And so being intentional and creating space for both of those things. The other thing too, for me, is talking about the stress that I might be facing, either if it's with my team at work or if it's at home. So a few years ago, we had an unexpected death in our family. And so I had to share that with my folks at work. So I was like, this is kind of rocked my world. And so
Yeah.
have patience with me as I deal with this. And so, I think it could have been, easy not to have talked about or just kind of kept that outside of the work environment. But it was affecting me. And I wanted people to know, hey, I'm dealing with some stuff. And the fact is we're all dealing with stuff. And so I think just being able to talk about it and acknowledge it is important. And on the flip side, the same thing is true of my husband. So if I have a work deadline and I'm like, hey, I've got to get this thing done. And so I may not be able to make this event or that event, or I may
Right.
not be at home at, a certain time. He's aware of that. And so it's not just, minimizing the amount of guilt and just being real about what's going on and what's important. So I think that helps remove, for me, it helps lessen the stress of it all, because it's just not worth it. It's not worth
Right.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I found too, like, it has to be intentional. Like, I don't, what I'm saying? It doesn't just happenstance happen that I'm, blocking, I'm taking time for myself, or, doing the things that give me energy and refuel me. But it requires the highest level of intentionality to make sure I'm looking at my week and blocking out time in my personal life, but then also blocking out time for even just strategic thinking in the workplace.
Yes, so I do that as well. So I do block time. I usually have an hour set every Friday it's like reflection and planning. That's really just about, okay, what happened this week, and then what do I need to be prepared for in
Right.
the next week? Not setting meetings or doing the work, but really just planning. I do that every Friday, and then something that I didn't used to do, that I am very intentional about now, is scheduling vacation time
Yeah.
and taking it. And then I try as best I can not to work when I'm on vacation. I feel like
Right.
I get so much reward and just kind of, refreshment from stepping away from the work responsibilities that I have, that I can come back kind of with a renewed energy that I didn't appreciate before. And
Right.
so now I try to be very intentional with the time that I have.
Yeah. And, I think you do a good job of just being where your feet are. Like, I'm always
Mhm.
impressed with that. It's like when you're in your personal life, you're, there with the people that you love. And when you're, at work, you're there with the people that you're leading and also love. Right. So I love that. Um, Great leaders often find inspiration in unexpected places. So maybe just sharing where you find your inspiration as a leader, because I mean, even as you're talking about, really being present when you're on your vacation or taking your time off, I think that can be sources of inspiration. But maybe just thinking like, what influences your leadership?
Um, so a lot of things. I think some of them are expected. So, obviously reading,
Yep.
learning constantly, it fuels me. But from an unexpected perspective, I would say the thing that inspires me most are, well, I would call them random acts of kindness.
Okay.
And so um, I am inspired when someone goes out of their way to do something for someone else, or takes an action to be inclusive, or create belonging for other, like those are the things that just inspire me to be better.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I'm not an overly emotional person, but if someone pays for my coffee at Starbucks, I mean, I'll lose it. That's just like the nicest thing ever.
Yeah.
It's just, I would say that that's probably very unexpected, but inspiring. I mean, people, um, I guess loving other people is just is something that inspires me.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Random acts of kindness. That's
Mhm.
awesome. Um, So what do the workplace is evolving, the demands on our time are evolving, things are moving really fast. What do you think are some of the most critical skills or qualities that future leaders need or will need to thrive?
So I would say number one on the list is adaptability.
Yep.
Um, whatever you think, whatever you plan, um, be willing to pivot,
Nice.
because something unexpected will happen. It just is the case. So, and even more so, I mean, we've all lived through the pandemic at this point. Unexpected things
Right.
happen, and so adaptability is the most important thing. And so, I guess with that, flexibility, being willing to maybe let go of a certain way that you want things done,
Yeah.
and you know, be willing to consider, okay, there's maybe many options here. Or there's even a different time. So I would say adaptability is probably the most important, um, I would say, skill among many that you'll need, especially as we think about kind of just all the changes that are happening in the pace of
Right.
change we lead today. So
Yep. What do you think is most important for organizations to work on? So we talked about like what a leader, right? Adaptability, but then like what do you think is like the most important kind of focal points for organizations and cultures of organizations right now?
um, honestly, I think one of the most important things, and one of the things that I appreciate about the organization that I work with, is just investing in people.
Yeah.
So making sure that they have, as our environments change, that we are skilled in new methods and new ways, new technologies. So investing in their learning, and I would say soft skills as well. I
Yeah.
think that soft skills and hard skills. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to just, we don't learn a lot about collaboration or communication,
Right.
or emotional intelligence, or um, coaching. It seems like in a normal kind of everyday curriculum you might get from school. And so I think investing in those
Right.
skills, both skills and hard skills for our team, I think sets up an organization for long-term success, because you're investing in people for the long term. I mean, obviously, most organizations wouldn't want to have a high rate of turnover. And so I think the more you can invest in the people that you have, just the better off you're going to be over time. So that's, yeah.
Yeah. And the importance of, creating a learning culture.
Mhm.
teaching people to communicate, give and receive feedback, all of those things. Yeah, I love that. And I also heard recently people are calling soft skills power skills now.
Well, I love that.
Just
Yeah.
another way of I'm saying, of kind of the reframe. I love that reframe because
Mhm.
I believe they are the power skills of today's workplace and leaders.
Mhm. Yes.
So I do a lot of work around perfectionism in the workplace. And one of the things that I so appreciate about you is you realized the importance of helping heal that in the workplace, right? Not all leaders get it. Not all leaders understand that it really stands in the way. And you had reached out to me because you would notice that, some of your leaders were struggling with perfectionism. So can you tell me more about that?
Yeah. Well, so what I will say is I'm a recovering
Yes,
perfectionist myself.
you are.
So I, I recognize the tendencies and, I've been in the position that I'm in now for a couple of years, and just in having conversations with the leaders that are on my team, and then for the team members that are part of our collective team, I kept hearing the same themes of, I've got to get this perfect, or I'm overwhelmed. I've got so many things, and I've got to get this right, or I'm not sure if they're going to like it was very much
Yeah.
perfectionist type of mentality. And so as I was having these conversations, honestly, Vitale, I had an opportunity to be a part of one of your workshops years ago. Just like the words that I learned that kind of just profoundly stuck with me from that experience just kind of came to mind. And I'm like, oh my goodness, we are dealing with, I've got a high performing team
Right.
who is just really caught up in just these perfectionist mindsets. And so I think, being able to work through that, acknowledge it, and think about like, okay, how do I work through this, and what are the skills, tools, methods that I can use to not be so overwhelmed or caught up or so stuck
Right.
waiting for whatever's perfect to manifest. And so that's what led to the conversations, and then just reaching out to
Yeah.
you and saying, hey, you know what? I've got a group of people who could benefit from your knowledge.
Yeah.
So, and to be honest, I would say I've gotten the most positive feedback from our session that you did with overcoming
Yeah.
perfectionism for our team. It was the first time that people had heard that kind of information. And
Yeah.
honestly, the first time that I attended your workshop, it was the first time that I had heard that. And I was like,
Right.
oh, wait a minute. Oh, I don't have to live this way.
Right. I can do,
um,
there's a better way to live.
so I got a lot of really positive feedback, and we still talk about that. And so
Right.
it's changed the conversations that we're having. Um, and then as leaders, it's challenged us to make sure that we're creating a space for imperfect people. And so, are we doing that? And so I really have appreciated just what it's afforded our team, and
Yeah.
it's just a better connection with the group. So yeah.
Yeah. And then that better connection leads to more trust because people believe, like, oh, it's safe for me to make a mistake and it's safe for me to ask for help. And
Mm-hmm.
it's, safe for this project to be 85% instead of 100%. So
Yes.
even just it creates that trust and psychological safety, that environment that you are creating.
Yeah, I know frequently I'll hear, don't let perfect be the enemy of
Yeah.
good. We've got uh, great people, and so more often than not, we can let 85% be and go.
Be good enough. Most definitely. How do you think that it has changed how you lead? Because even if as I look at, I teach this stuff every day, but it's changed how I lead. Um, Recognizing when I'm getting stuck in perfectionism when I'm working on a project and my ability to really need to let it go. But how do you think it's just kind of influenced your perspective and your leadership style?
Um, I would say for me, it just I'm a little more um, open, a
Yeah.
little less demanding. Um, don't make no mistake. I like to keep the bar high, and we're going
Correct.
to continue to do the things that we do. Um, but uh, just a little more comfortable, a little more appreciative of everyone's best effort. And that's something too, I feel like I've had to learn over the years, is that everyone's best effort is not the same. And so
Right.
just being able to meet people where they are. I think for me, it opened, I don't know, just the humanness factor. Like we're all real people dealing with real things. And, if I've hired the very best people that I
Yeah.
have been able to find. And so um, everyone just comes and wants to do the very best that they can. And so knowing that there are going to be setbacks, knowing that there are going to be things that just don't go perfectly is okay. We'll be able to continue to move forward, learn from, if there is a mistake, learn from the mistake,
Yeah.
and move on. So for me, I think it's just created a little bit more relaxed environment for me personally, and then hopefully with the environment that I lead.
Yeah. And you can still get those results. And what I found, even better results. Because what I
Mhm.
found is, perfectionism leans towards the more demanding side, where excellence leans towards clear expectations.
Yeah, yeah,
Again,
and
fosters trust.
I love that word, excellence. I mean, I think we're part of a
Yeah.
team, and part of our title is called excellence, and so just leaning into that more so than perfectionism. And again, it goes back to that: am I creating an environment where people can thrive?
Right.
And as a leader, if that's the most important thing to me, it's just something that I try to just keep top of mind.
Yeah. I love that. But it has been awesome working with you and your team. And so I love just how forward thinking you are, understanding the importance of humanness and the environment. So it's just, anyway, it's been an honor working with you.
Yeah.
Um, so what's a leadership book recently, or a resource that's greatly influenced you?
So I will tell you that I read a lot. I read a lot of
Yep.
books, but there's one, and I think I think sometimes there's a book that will stand out because at a certain season of your life, or it just resonates with you. And so a book for me that did that, and especially about leadership, is called "Developing the Leader Within You." It's
Okay.
by John Maxwell, and I read it a long time ago before I was a leader, formal leader of others, and it it just resonated with me in such a way. And it was at a time when I was thinking about going into formal kind of leading others. And so there were just so many very just simple, practical tips and advice
Yeah.
on being a better leader, and being a better leader from where you are, regardless of
Right.
whether you others or not. And so it's a book that I keep on my shelf. I've shared it with others who are like, I'm thinking about going into leadership. And I'm like, hey, here's a book, read it. This is a great one. It helped me think through leading. And but yeah, that's one that I feel like is kind of part of the toolbox at this point. And but yeah.
Love that. I'm gonna have to check it out. And then my final question is, what's one piece of advice that you would give, aspiring leaders or even new leaders?
Um, hmm. Oh man, there's so much advice.
Yeah, you can give
So
multiple pieces of advice.
well, one thing that comes to my mind first is um, you will not be perfect.
Right.
Let it go. And you will make mistakes, learn from them,
Yeah.
and grow. Um, that that's going to happen. I would say one of the pieces of advice that I was given early on when I was leading is, leadership is like a full contact sport.
Yeah.
You have to be prepared every day, and there are going to be things that come out of seemingly the blue
Mhm.
that are going to hit you and maybe knock you down, and you have to get back up. And so I've that imagery has stayed with me. And so I would say, in order to be prepared for that full contact sport, you have to be passionate about what you're doing,
Right.
and you have to know why you're there.
Right.
If you're not sure why you want to be a leader, or what's driving that passion for you, um, you might want to figure that out before you get into leadership,
Yeah.
because it can be tough sometimes.
Yeah. And also one of the most rewarding
Absolutely.
things.
For me, I think what I love about leadership is uh, just seeing other people grow and being able to invest in them, and just see how a little bit can, just shape their own confidence, shape their career. And that's exciting. It's exciting to be a part of, and exciting to be able to uh, just share in the growth of other people. So
Yep. Awesome.
it's all worth it. It's all
Yeah.
worth it.
Well, and you do a really great job of investing in your people. So, well, Rebecca, I want to thank you so much for your time today. And thank you for being open and engaged and authentically you. So, thank you so much.
Thanks, Vitale. Appreciate it. And congratulations on your new newsletter.
Thank you so much.